from my own experience, because I come from a family which is Nyonya and Baba, especially with both my grandmothers were Nyonya ladies. And my paternal grandmother would make cakes to sell. And then she would say, oh, this is very hard life. And she would refuse to allow her daughter-in-law, my mother, to learn how to make cakes. So she never taught my mother how to make cakes, because it was a difficult thing to do. My maternal grandmother was a Nyonya lady who would give all her life to the kitchen, because that was her place she understood to be. So by and large, we would say the lady is the one who takes care of the house and the man is the one who goes out to earn. So that's a tradition that they live by. But I always also hear them, especially the ladies, who would refer to us to behave properly. And we are always to be very cautious and mindful about other people. Like for instance, when we walk past an elder, we just don't walk past the elder. We have to stoop down to walk past them.
My late father was a Baba. And my mother, though not Nyonya, she grew up in Penang, so had strong Nyonya influences. She knew about it, she was familiar with the tradition. But what was more important is the Nyonya Baba culture is a subculture of the Chinese. And the Chinese is a civilization of 6,000 years old. So a lot of our ways of life, our rituals, the festivities we celebrate are basically just Chinese. And in my household, where I grew up, we lived by our manners. If you don't have your manners, then you are shameless. And as a Nyonya, we always taught to be coiffed, groomed, and to be polite, and to respect our elders, and to be kind to people.
The Nyonyas, in their way of life, they show a lot of human values in them. And then most of the values are the best and the worst that can be seen in that kind of way. Because I have seen some of them who in very difficult times are the strength in the family as a lady. Which we have nowadays. We talk of single parents and all this sort of stuff. But the Nyonyas had been single parents for a long time. If I remember my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, she was a single lady, single married parent in that kind of way. She had to take care of how many children? About 4 children. With the girls who helped her, of course the girls helped her, but the boys were 4 of them. And she made cakes mainly to raise money to educate all of them. That was how strong she was a person. And you see them in all ages, not only through the Nyonyas, that way. If you were to say who is the person that I would think quite highly of, I think it is Aung San Suu Kyi. She is, I think, in the most difficult situation or under very difficult circumstances now. And because of that, I would put her as a person who is in front of everybody, struggling very difficultly in her life to try to make it meaningful for herself. I think she is struggling to find that meaning, of which people do not understand her fully, because they do not empathize with her. They may sympathize with her, but her sympathy is lost very quickly. But the empathy they don't have, I think.
One of the most influential women in my life as I was growing up was definitely my grandmother on the maternal side. She was widowed when she was only 30, and she had to bring up, that was before the Second World War, and single-handedly she had to bring up 8 children. And that she had to make a living and also to galvanize the family, make sure they stayed together, they stayed alive through the Second World War, educate them, and some of them had tertiary education, and make sure all of them were married off in a comfortable way. So from then on, of course, my mother definitely inspired me, because she was brought up by a very strong woman. And that is from my inner sanctum, my life, immediate impact, yeah.
Richard, come, let mother talk to you something. This is Emerald Hill. Susia, Emily here. This afternoon I'm going to town. Anything that you are needing? I'm just waiting for you to be the guest of honor at our table. Forget everything I've given you. You throw away all the sacrifices I've made.